I mentioned yesterday in my review of Mary Douglas's book, How Institutions Think, a book by this author. I think I mentioned The Social Construction of Reality, which he also wrote. That won't be the book I'm talking about today, but I wanted to review this one because I thought it was interesting. This is Peter L. Berger, and this one is The Sacred Canopy, Elements of a Sociological Theory of Religion. I'm sorry, I couldn't make that word out with the glare. Elements of a Sociological Theory of Religion. This book is actually an extension of Peter Berger and Thomas Luckmann's earlier book, The Social Construction of Reality, a treatise on the sociology of knowledge, which they wrote together in 1966, and in which the authors begin with basic sociological assumptions about mental representations and how humans come to know the world and form impressions about the world. The Sacred Canopy, this book, while heavily informed by ideas in the social construction of reality, was written only by Berger himself. The book is a pretty Marxist critique of religion, I would say, with a dash of Freud thrown in here and there for good measure. The Marxism comes from Berger's understanding of human consciousness. He emphasizes the dialectical nature of individual man and his relationship to culture and society. According to Berger, we can only world build, or he uses some really weird words in this book for very relatively pedestrian concepts. I don't know if that's the result of a translation or not, but if it is, it's a really bad one. He says we can only world build. The word he uses is cosmize, as in, I'm guessing, to build a cosmos. I thought it was really awkward, too. We can only world build through a process of constant internalization and externalization of distinct mental representations. Berger defines religion as a sacred form of world building, a, quote, audacious attempt to conceive of the entire universe as humanly significant. Forget temporarily, as I had to, that to call religion a sacred form of world building seems to beg the question, but temporarily forget. He argues religion to be the oldest, most powerful legitimating order, which plays a central role in construing order and rationality in our own lives, and therefore in maintaining reality, because they are the only things that can provide sacred legitimation for this socially constructed reality. Thus, religion makes permanent the temporary and transcendentalizes the immanent and sacralizes the profane, and ensures a nomological, that is, a rational and law-based rather than chaotic reality. Evil, death, and injustice and suffering can threaten the nomological order that is shored up by this kind of religious legitimation. However, theodicies minimize the threat to nomos, or law, order, by bestowing meaning on these things and by making them understandable in a larger epistemological scheme. Berger claims that religion is ultimately alienating, as it enforces the idea that the socially constructed world is not a human product, but rather a permanent product of divine construction. Religion is, in other words, for Berger at least, a source of false consciousness. There's that sort of Marxist terminology. That perpetuates the idea that human beings have nothing to do with creating their own social world. He also claims that the world is gradually becoming more and more secular. It's somewhat difficult to disagree with that in some respects. For exactly these reasons, secularization is paradoxically both de-alienating, while at the same time anomic and ridden with existential anxiety, precisely because religion, according to Berger, has lost its legitimacy, having slowly been replaced in the industrial world, at least, with a materialistic, positivistic model for knowledge. In short, secularization allows people to realize that the world is their own, not that of a distant supernatural God, and that our disconnection from this leaves us hanging alone in a world devoid of any meaning or order. Berger claims to break down the book into two parts, the first being the theoretical portion, and the second providing the concrete historical empirical facts that support the theory. However, I found almost no substantive distinction in the level of theory used in the two parts. Both seemed not very empirical at all and highly abstract. Both are pretty theoretical, which isn't to say that the book is very difficult if you give it a careful reading. I didn't really find it that hard to understand. But the book is maintained on such a level, the entire book is sort of doled out on such a level of abstraction that it would be tough to take any applied ideas away from it. This might have something to do with the fact that Berger recanted the central thesis of the Sacred Canopy, this book, about 20 years ago, in the face of evidence that directly suggested that the boundaries of secularization and modernization were not necessarily coterminal. If anyone knows about Thomas Berger and his since recanted views about this book, let me know. Again, it's something I know fairly minimally about, but I'm interested in if anyone knows anything else. Also, for being published less than 50 years ago, the ideas seem quite a bit older. Connecting the ideas of secularization and alienation and social anomie, which are really the fundamental concepts of the book, go back into the 19th century, and Berger doesn't really seem to work in any new ideas that I'm aware of. This book it's interesting for its historical value and its arguments. It's still sometimes seen on sociology reading lists and syllabi, but it doesn't bring much cash value to the discussion of contemporary sociology of knowledge or of religion, at least in my opinion. Peter Berger, The Sacred Canopy, Elements of a Sociological Theory of Religion.